Hey, team, we forgot to mention some of our housekeeping rules. Housekeeping! For me, Team Watcher, I do not want any spoilers. And I know my old roommate Daryl over there is like Mike Tyson before the bell, ready to knock some heads off with information, book knowledge, and deep dives. But I did not sign up for boxing. There's a problem when one of them did not sign up, which is me. The other person's committing murder. So, my point, Daryl will have to and will hold back punches.
Hey guys, like Mook said, I'm going to do my best to pull my punches and not give any spoilers. Fact is, I've read the books 4 to 5 times in its entirety. I'm going to reread right now. So, I will do my best to keep it within the episode that we're in, prior episodes, and maybe callbacks to the first season. Nothing more. If I'm asked directly about something in the future from my guest or from Mooks, we will put up a warning that if it's going to be a spoiler. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. Mooks wants to stay completely immersed in the story as is. With that being said, after last episode, we got to see the Dark Friend Social. A lot of tower activity. Moraine and Lan still working things out. And a mystery woman with Rand. We all want to know who that is. So with that being said, let's get into this next episode.
He's Daryl, the reader.
He's Mooks, the watcher.
Team Watchers, no expectation, 0 disappointments.
Team reader, we love the books, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm here for the show. Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, let's get going. So we are going to start with Rand and this new chick, Celine. I am so very happy for Rand to have a close friend at this part of his journey because most of his friends think he's dead. And the other people that know of him that's still alive knows their days are numbered, right? Because shit's going to go down. So there's a lot of chaos going on right after that big scene at Eye of the World. Speaking of his friends, in his dreams, he found himself with his blade nearby and his friends all slaughtered. At least that's what we saw, and blood in his hands. And he had no clue who killed him or what went on. That was horrific. And, and that's why I say I'm glad that Celine is there for that moment, this part of his journey, for the comfort. And and if they're getting benefits from each other, even better. And it looks like he does, because as Rand walks through the halls of the ward where he works, you can tell his composure and confidence is all-time high. He has a little bit of a bounce to his step as he just won the Super Bowl. I love it. Towards the end of the ward where they're helping people with PTSD, we got a little bit of a good dive into Rand's approach on things and how strategic he can be. It was a great chess move by Rand and how he worked himself into that courtyard. That was a great move. Love it.
Yeah, this show did show a good side of Rand being strategic, right? It seemed, if this in fact is a move that he did and put in place, that's a pretty valid point. He got in there to see Logain. He's looking for something. I hope that we get to see more of those two together on screen. I know that, getting inside of Rand's head a little bit, if they're showing us how he thinks, that's really awesome. Another good look at how this episode or this season is showing a little bit more how people think. Let's look at Perrin. Going into Perrin's transition from, I would say, season 1 to season 2, where we got to see him do something that was very traumatic, killing his wife, which is different from in the books, because he actually killed 2 white cloaks. But we don't get to see his headcanon, so this was more, I think, of a way to show, hey, this was serious, this hurt him, he loved her, and he's dealing with it. Still getting to travel with the Tinkers, and now we get to see him coming into his powers. He's getting to see visions, which is, now we get to see a little bit more of what is going on with Perrin, what's inside his head. He's meeting Elias. It's a little shaky, but Elias is going to be somebody good for Perrin, I think, in the end. You know, the scene where they had the fade uh, nailed to the wall.
Yeah.
The the good thing about that scene is it is from the books. That was a
Okay.
very iconic moment, and I hope they kind of dive into how that happened. You know, and some of the actions that happened at that home. I believe that might even be the same place where the Dark Friend Social took place.
Okay.
You know, we got to see Pot on Fane maybe being the reason behind those deaths, so the body count there. I thought that was neat to see.
Yeah. We definitely get a different perspective on Perrin, right? Instead of grieving over his wife, he emerges from this dark room, and we get to see how he's adjusting with his gift vision. But it seems like Perrin is not 100% about those visions and questions the worth of his power. Like Elias reminds him, it doesn't work that way, as if he could decline those visions. And, I wonder if those visions are going to be all about death and drama. I question that. Like, I mean, I could see why parents like, I don't know if I want to sign up for this. I can see why he says that. And the vision of the village. I notice Perrin got lost in the vision, so I sense that he's very uncomfortable with that gift. I'm sure there are plenty of things in life to be stuck with that is worse or a curse. I'll take the vision over a curse any day. You had mentioned Pot on Fane, but I'm not convinced it was him. But then again, I'm hearing from you. So, yeah, if it is him, he's definitely, again, marked for I can't wait till somebody takes care of him. Something significant happened at that village, and to see a fade tacked on the wall as it was like a yellow sticky note in your office, attention, read as soon as possible, something important took place.
Yeah, he was definitely sending a message.
Yeah, dude, it's huge. The men's reaction about the fades echo back to how fearsome and formidable these creatures are, and yet Moraine was able to take one-on-one with her bare hands. That was huge. She's one bad chica, this Moraine. Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. In this episode, we did get to see some interesting moves done by her.
So let's head over to the tower. Nynaeve finally gets to be in her comfort zone with seeing someone being treated or cared for. It's a great reminder for us at her core who Nynaeve is. However, was like ushered by the Red Aes Sedai, and I question her motives because I remember in the streets as they were discussing, she made a statement sharing her grand thoughts, willing to sacrifice the few for the greater or for things that are more precious to her, right? So we get a little bit of deep dive in her psyche. The redhead, the daughter to w.a.r, this little pompous redhead. But I had to change her heart. Her stock value doubled on the spot when was told to disclose the name of the person who provided a favor or punishment. But instead, Elaine stepped in to take full responsibility and the repercussion. Is that a mark of a great leader? I like her.
I definitely like Elaine Tricon. So the daughter Heir Vandor. I mean, she is going to be very important going forward. Very glad we got to see her on screen. Got to see her and Egwene becoming pals. Leandrin kind of trying to mold Nynaeve is interesting to me. It's something different from the books at this point. But the whole thing going on in the tower right now with Matt and Min also definitely something different. It's an interesting take on it. I believe they had to do it because of the move. What happened with Bernie Harris leaving the show, and we got a new Matt, and they're just kind of hopefully just putting the pieces in the right places to get people to where they need to be. Really hoping that's what's going on.
The brown Aes Sedai knows a lot and maybe too much. At what cost will she go to get that information? I question that. Knowledge is definitely her sharp side of the blade. What doesn't she know, right? And yeah, she told Brown Aes Sedai that her loyalty is with Rand, as a reminder, the trust between them will always be less. I find that interesting. Another powerful statement during this moment was with Lan. I know they are not talking often, but the very few times it was very poignant. When the time comes, you will be able to survive on your own or survive alone. I thought that was very powerful. I felt like having terminal cancer and not telling your loved ones, but conditioning them for that transfer of responsibility when that day comes. Very powerful.
Yeah,
It's almost like a little bit of foreshadow, right? The very little communication with Lan, she's very intentional.
no, I think 100% right. She is intentional with what she's doing. I mean, if we look at just what happened in season one with Stepan, when he lost his Aes Sedai, he killed himself. So Moraine is doing things in the show in such a way to prep land for something tragic to happen, which kind of happened in the books, just slightly different.
Okay.
Lan, instead of going off with Alana, went off with another Aes Sedai.
Oh.
She did transfer the bond to someone else, but she did it for a reason that hopefully we get to see play out later. The biggest thing, kind of one of the lines that stood out to me is she just said we were never equals. And the one thing that we haven't explored much yet is Lan. There's so much more to him that we don't know yet, and I hope that we really get to dive in and see more about who Lan Mondragon is. That statement isn't exactly how we took it, you know. I think it's a setup for something later.
Okay.
So with Lan leaving, going off with Alana, it kind of brings us towards the end of the show, right? We got that fight at the end. Perrin sleeping in the middle of the night, the Shan soldiers coming in, attacking people in the rooms. We got to see Massima, shirtless, fighting in one scene, and then dressed in his armor in the next scene. I thought that was a unique move on his part. That actor also played Sidric in The Last Kingdom, so yeah, I'm glad to see his sword arm still good.
Right. I'm glad you brought up that piece up. I love The Last Kingdom, one of my all-time favorites in the top 10 for sure, and it actually might be stacked even higher in top 5. But that quick change that you're talking about, that is some special armor, because from all the medieval knowledge I know, I've seen on the big screen, the knights tend to have some type of squire to help them get into and out of the full suit armor. So, brah, that is extremely efficient, or one damn special magical armor. But during the action in the village, right, it was obvious it was a capture mission and not a kill in sight. And we find out who was involved near the end. Ishmael. Go figure. It's like something devilish brewing. Ishmael is cooking something for someone. Those girls with the binkies, the big binky, I call them binky girls, they look like they are insane, and don't care for words. Powerful and crazy. And one last thing of the village fight for me is the loyal, the Ogier. They were planning. They were like playing tug of war in all angles, just to hold him down and trying to control him. It just to show how powerful he can be. It was a good thing it was a capture mission, because they were caught off guard and outnumbered. That could have been a big slaughter. So I'm glad it was a capture mission.
So one point you brought up, I want to just point this out, the Dark Friend Social, the meaning at the beginning. We did see the lacquered nails of Ashanshin blood.
Oh, yeah.
And he shows up with Ashanshin of the blood. I mean, I know her name, but they haven't mentioned it yet, so hopefully we get to see who that is going forward. That this is good. This is definitely a change, but an acceptable change.
Okay.
Watch the flush of the frame, nerfed near that slope with volley. Earlier me. Snip opposite oris, and the shit steps at one. Search now me. Here's how with Squimsy. Hurdy rough or